Hello, everyone. Welcome to Monday Night Live with Alan and Greg and our guest, Courtney at Tangible Reads. Alan,
Hello.
Alan is around. He's having technical difficulties with his phone, which is quite normal, and he will be back in a few minutes, I believe. So, hello, Courtney. Thank you
Hello.
so much for coming on our show.
Thank you for the invite.
Yes. Now, normally the way we start this is that we all describe what books we have just finished reading, what are we currently reading. It's up to you to highlight a book or two, just so we get off on a bookish topic, and then we go off to whatever we want to talk about, and it can go to any subject that happens to come along.
Let things just rattle off.
Yeah. So, as a guest, you go first.
Well, my name is Courtney. I would channel Tangible Reads. Been on Booktube for about a year and change. Alan's coming up here now. And so I read a little bit of everything, but I like to center around like fantasy, sci-fi, horror, like anything with a unique perspective that's not just a regular slice of life is kind of my jam. Plus the occasional celebrity memoir I like to play around with if they have some really interesting things. However, what I am reading now is I told myself I was not going to do any July readathons, and then I just didn't do it. So I got three readathons I'm participating in. So I just finished. Right now I'm reading this called Everdark. It's a, I don't know if you know Chatty, the Mad Chatterer booktuber.
I know her channel. I've watched a couple of her videos. I don't see every one, but I do watch her. Yeah.
Well, Chatty is such a beautiful UK soul, and she's from the UK, and she is doing a readathon called Journeyathon. It is a middle grade readathon. However, I am not very much of a middle grade reader at all. So the requirement is to do at least one book. So I chose the 1 to 4 book range, and I'm doing one middle grade, and I'm gonna put it with the rest of the adults because I like adult books. So this is the middle grade. It's a fantasy. And the last book I read was called Of the Cargo, and it is like a historical kind of slave narrative type thing mixed in with like current stuff. So very interesting book, I will tell you that. Very good.
Okay. And you are participating in Garbogust.
I am. I was pleasantly selected as a host for Garbogust with these lovely gentlemen here. I am touchable.
Not part of Garbogust.
Huh?
Alan is not part of Garbogust officially. He's not a host.
Oh, well, we're gonna make him the honorary host.
We will. We'll get him to read some garbage.
But yeah, so I'm Touchable Reads and Deeds, and you are
Another booby file reads Playboy for the articles.
You know what? What's funny is back in the day when who did I know have a Playboy subscription? I can't even remember. Somebody I know, but I actually used to read the articles. I would put my hand, I'd be reading it, and I would put my hand over the little naughty bits and read the articles.
Well, here's how.
That is so funny. The cat just popped up.
Here's how I got. We were doing our trash names last year. I just suggested another booby file reads. But I had like a month before talk to Ollie, and I was mentioning that back in the day, this was like the late 80s and 90s, Playboy paid a lot of money if you were a short story writer. They paid $5,000, which was like one of the best, or not the best, paying market for short stories. Okay. So if you got a short story of Playboy, you were a good author. You'd made it. And that's why he added the read Playboy for the articles to my trashy name.
That is the good old era back in the day. Yeah. You can make money in publishing. And when Playboy was around and people bought it.
I wish Alan were back because there is a paragraph in Kurt Vonnegut's novel, I think Timequake, where he says at one point you could make a living writing short stories and publishing them. But
that is true. That was back in the day when you can make money in porn. Now everybody does it. Mm-hmm. That's a random. That's how my mind works. I just thought of that. Okay. Not that I've ever done porn.
Back in my mid-20s, I was trying to be a writer. I said maybe I should write erotica.
That could make some money back in the day.
Yeah, but I was just as bad as that as I was with regular short stories, so none of it went anywhere.
I mean, bad erotica can still be good erotica. Like writing it's subjective. You'd be surprised. Like you ever heard that? What's that guy? Oh my gosh! Somebody around the holidays told me about it. Chuck Tingle? Is that? Yeah.
Chuck. Yeah. He writes
the crazy stories ever.
Really weird gay pornography.
Yeah.
He did a transgendered Harry Potter ripoff.
But he does like inanimate objects type stuff too. So it's erotica and it's like queer in nature, but it's not people. It's just.
I don't know. Maybe for Garbagas, someone will convince me to pick up. Okay. Here's Alan. Alan may be coming back.
I'm going to write some of it down too.
Okay. While you're doing that, I'm going to go through some of our comments because we have a lot of comments. Bad is Rad. Good evening, everyone. I know this is going to be a fun live with Courtney there and with you guys. Bad is Rad is having her ice cream. Yep. We were boxing before about what ice cream we were eating before dinner or not before the live show. And William says, greetings. Raider Ralph. Hello, Raider Ralph. I think this is the first time you've been here. And some more highs among people. Hello, Read by Fred. Bad as Rad. I'm taking Courtney to my strip club.
I like the little dance. Hey, Bad, for your video, I think it was your last video. Was that you dancing in silhouette? She did it like a Garbagas haul. It was so good.
And as Bad as like saying hi to Teddy. That was Teddy the cat who showed up a little while ago. We lost Alan again. Reading This Life. Hello, MJ. Hey, friends. I'm at a soiree.
Have fun. Get off of this too. Go have fun.
Wanted to pop in and say hello. I'll catch the replay. Well, hi and bye, MJ. Alan, I'm restarting his phone. Hello, Christopher. Bad as Red. Hi, Sleazy. Hi, MJ. Yep. All right. So, Read by Fred saying hi to Bad. I tend to skip over people just saying hi to each other. Just Bad as Red. You need a cigar thing with that red robe. More, Craig. Maybe I don't have a red robe.
Smoke jacket.
Beth, I can paint your erotic stories, Craig. Do your short stories, and they no longer exist. I had a diskette of them, and I was moving. I said, just threw them in the trash. Stuff I wrote in the 90s. Read by Fred, ice cream, French vanilla all the way. Raider Ralph, yes, sir. First time, subscribe this morning. Well, thank you for subscribing. I think you commented on one of my vintage shorts of short horror with all the horror paperback covers. Peter the Book Lover, salutations. Yes, that was my second dance step. That is responding to you, Courtney.
It was nice.
That I'm just missing my stripper pole. I don't know what the problem is with his phone, but Alan is here.
Reboot.
In the comments. Yeah, reboot. I was a computer programmer, and I think he said he did the first thing you do is reboot.
I'll do that, and it doesn't work until the IT person comes up and they reboot, and all of a sudden it works. And I'm looking like I don't know what I'm doing. Like I don't know how to reboot.
Well, back when I was a computer programmer, I had to do some IT stuff, and there's this thing we call as waving the rubber chicken. That's all voodoo. You wave a chicken around to fix something.
Oh, okay.
So what happens is people said, my computer doesn't work. The IT person comes over and fix this, it works. We call that waving the rubber chicken because we just came in and didn't do anything. So I had a rubber chicken at my desk at work. So when I got called to do stuff, I'd break my rubber chicken, wave it around and fix it. Sometimes you actually had to fix things, but
hey, I'm always thankful when IT comes by, even if I'm looking like a fool, like I can't reboot, even though I did.
Now, you said your husband works with IT, or is he in IT, or just works, just likes the computer stuff?
Yeah. Well, he don't really like computer stuff, but he likes technology. So he's always trying to spend all of our money on new technology and a new TV and a new phone, all that stuff.
I used to buy lots of new technology too.
I have to reel him in. I'm like, nope, put the brakes on. I want to go on a trip. That's that TV.
You know, I think my wife had that same conversation with me.
We have more TVs in our home than we have people, and it's like I'm looking at it. I'm literally looking at a television on the floor right now, and I'm like, why don't you put that on Facebook Marketplace? And he's like, it's not worth anything. It's a 46 inch. Somebody's gonna buy it. I don't care if you get $50 for it. Put it up there and let somebody will purchase it. It works. He just doesn't want it anymore.
All right. So let's
privilege of that, right? Oh
Alan isn't here. I will talk about the books that I am currently reading.
Okay.
And I'm reading for Booktube at War. This is Bomber by Len Deighton. This is an historical fiction set during World War II about a British bomber crew that's going to be going out and bombing some of the Germans. And there's some parallel stories with the Germans. And I know the idea. Shows the bomber crew, shows the British bombing the Germans. So you get that feel of really what a bomber crew was actually doing in World War II. Now, he says this is all based on fiction. There are no real characters. No one's based on anyone else. And what's really interesting, I don't know why he did this. The date that this bombing run happens is the 31st of June, 1943.
What's significant about that?
Think about it for a second.
D-Day was in November, right?
What? No, the 31st of June.
June 31st.
1943. And no, it's not obvious because you don't think about it, but he said it in his introduction, and he says, there never was a 31st of June in 1943 or any other year.
Okay. Well, totally fictional, even down to the
I think he did it just to say, really don't interpret this as real. It's fiction. So we put in a fictional date just to hammer that home.
I like that.
I kind of think it's neat. I don't ultimately mean I'm on page 57. It's good. Criminali loved this book. This is like, he recommended one of the top 10 books of the year last year or something like that. So he really loved it, and that's why I got it. And I'm doing this for my Booktube at War.
Now, what exactly is that? I've never heard of that. Or I don't remember about that.
It's just an event where you're encouraged to read books about war. It's not a specific war. Doesn't have to be fiction. Doesn't have to be nonfiction. Just books about war. So I went over the top, and I said I'm going to read about World War II. But I wanted to read a book from every major participating nation.
Oh, that's a good idea. I like that. Get the different perspectives. Okay.
Different perspectives. So I've got, of course, Britain, US, France, Poland, Germany, Italy, Russia, and I'm doing the Asian Pacific as well. So I got a lot of books to get through.
Is that all for July, or what is
all
that?
All for July. I'm probably not going to get to all of them.
You may.
I may. The book for Russia is 850 pages long.
Okay, you already lost me.
Yeah,
I just think about numbers and books. I don't want sequels, and I don't want a book that's too long. Like if you're over 500 pages, maybe even 450, I'm going to probably second guess reading it.
Yeah, well, it's just so much.
Yeah, that's a lot
that I'm doing, and but it's good. I'll see how far I get. That's what I want to do for July.
Is that all historical fiction, or are you having nonfiction in there?
I do have one nonfiction. I'm putting I didn't mention the Holocaust into it. So I'm rereading the memoir of Elie Wiesel of his experiences in the Auschwitz.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, that ought to be that.
Well, I've read that book. It's a book everyone should probably read at some point, just so you get that firsthand experience of what it really was like in Auschwitz. But there you go. All right, let's get to some comments. And Alan is still in the comments. You can try to come back, Alan. Williams Library, rubber chickens and computers. I'm reminded of the Beavis and Butthead episode about a call center.
I unfortunately used to watch that television show back in the day.
Okay, here's a question for you, Courtney, from Fred. Courtney, your reading sprints are during my work hours, so I'm unable to join. But can you tell me how you find hosting them?
If you're asking how I enjoy them, I enjoy them a lot. Is that how you're interpreting that?
I am. I just like, how do you, I have done one reading sprint on these lives one time, and I don't know if it worked all that well. I mean, I didn't get all the technical details. I didn't have the clock that you can put in. I just put my iPad up at the top and said alarm for 15 minutes. And
I mean, everybody does it different. My first sprint, I didn't know, like I learned through trial and error, and I was part of the Discord that kind of walked me through it because other people did it. But, my first sprint, I had my kitchen, timer that I set in front. But, no, I find it pretty fun. I get to communicate. I have like a nice core group of people that when they can, that consistently come. So I really enjoy that. But, I should label it, chaos sprints, because it's a bunch of chaos, but it's fun. It's, it kind of matches my personality, and I have people that appreciate that. So I feel like I am definitely blessed, and, I enjoy it. I really do. I get some reading done. I get a whole bunch of other stuff done. And if not, then oh well. And then I do have so my reading sprints are Tuesdays at 11 a.m. EST, pretty much every Tuesday. And then on Thursdays, I do sprints with friends where I bring in somebody else. It kind of helps promote any other booktubers out there. So I have like a core group of one or two of the people that always come, and then I just kind of rotate as I meet other booktubers. Alan's been on there, but that's Thursday at 5:30 p.m. EST. So, once I get to know people, I just, invite them on, and, they get to talk about their channel a little bit. So it's a pretty fun time.
That is. I mean, I always like, this is why we always have guests. You want to introduce people to as many channels as possible.
But you get to actually know the booktubers too, because sometimes I look at people's videos and I get to know them. You can see personalities, but it is nice to talk kind of one-on-one with folks. So I do enjoy that. So I just kind of randomly sometimes reach out to booktubers, when I get time. It's not consistently that we have a guest person, but I try to, bring someone on. And, most of the time I get shot down. No, I'm kidding. But, 5:30 is kind of an odd time because a lot of people are still working, and I'm on the East Coast. So if you're trying to invite somebody on the West Coast, then, they're still working. So 5:30 is kind of a stretch for some people. So I always just leave the door open and say, hey, we're going to be here. I'm trying to limit it to about 2 hours because it feeds into the evening time or nighttime when I know there's other people that I normally sprint with, like in their chats. So I try to keep it at a manageable hour. So I'll have people just kind of, hey, whenever you get the chance, here's the link, pop in. But I tend to miss them due to still that time frame. So, people are
when Alan and I do the show, is like, 8 o'clock is our normal time, Eastern, but we invite a lot of European guests on, and that's for most of them, that's the middle of the night. So
it's like 5 hours. Yeah.
we do a lot of afternoon shows, and really you get a different crew watching your live at that, because some people can, watch YouTube while they're working at their desks or working at home. And I used to do that all the time when I was working at home, because I was a computer programmer, and honestly, a lot of computer programming is just say, okay, I've written this program about this, that time, grab it, pop it, make a couple changes, and you got a whole brand new program you show your boss, right? See?
There you go. You get paid. Yeah, I think during the day you do catch a lot of UK people, and I'm fortunate. I work shift work because I'm in healthcare. So I work 12-hour shifts. So I don't work every day. So I am able to be available during the day, which is why Tuesday, I know that's the set day I'm off, of why I kept it.
I was going to say, it's like, aren't you working on a middle of a Tuesday? But if you're a shift worker in healthcare, I can.
Yeah. I may have a random, like my weekend may be Thursday, Friday, but I do tend to work a lot of weekends and just random days, and then things pop up because I have on call. Just it varies. So I'm around Booktube at random times. It may even be like 2, 3. Like the other day, I worked a night shift. It was like 2, 3 a.m. I'm commenting on videos. So, and at work on lunch breaks, I pop into other people. At any given time, well, I won't say at any given time, but a lot of people that I communicate with in the Booktube, it's Booktube. It's 24 hours. So, or YouTube. So I'll just randomly pop in with other people's sprint. Just like earlier, someone, MJ was like, hey, I'm in a soiree, I'm saying hi and bye. I do that quite often, especially on the weekends. That's when most of the people that I'm aware, that I am doing sprints with tend to be sprinting. So I'll be like, hey, hi, bye. Here's a like and a thumbs up, Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes I'll pop in and out like 3, 4 times, depends on what's going on. So fun times though.
Domino's Bookshelf. I just finished reading Warhorse as part of my Booktube at War TBR. I enjoyed it much more than I anticipated. Okay. I've heard of it, but I've never read it. So you'll have to write a review and get everyone's attention so we can know more about that book. Christopher, Courtney, it's so helpful to have those sprints help to get through the grind. Thanks so much.
It's a fun time. It's a good way to communicate. I like that. Like videos can only do so much. I enjoy putting out videos. I enjoy watching other people's videos, but it is nice to communicate kind of one-on-one, and you don't always have to be the host. Like I enjoyed them even when I wasn't the host. I just had the time during the day and it wasn't really a whole lot of people around that time frame. So I figured I would take a chance and throw myself in there.
Sprints are really good because I tend to get distracted. I said, okay, I've got the whole day to read. I'll just read next hour or something. And next hour, well, I got to do this. And all of a sudden your whole day is like, where's all my reading time gone? So when I join sprints, I like joining MJ's sprints on Saturday because it just forces me to read for a couple hours and then it's all good.
See, I wish I could say that I focus during sprints, but I tend not to. I'm trying to get better. Like when I first started sprints, I would say for the first 4, 5, 6 months, I get more reading done on other people's sprints than I do on my own. And maybe because when I'm hosting, especially like in the Tuesday morning sprints, because I'm just getting up, I try to work out in the morning. So I'm still coming off of that. And then sometimes I haven't even taken a shower. Like I'll get on, I'll be like on the first sprint, I'm a shower or something, but I'm trying to get better because, I'm trying to get a lot of things done because I generally work on a Monday. And so I'm trying to plus up on things that weren't done like during the week, or I'm sorry, during the day or even on the weekend, like the day before. So it's a lot of that, but it's fine. I mean, it's all about communication and stuff with the people. And a lot of the people I do sprints with, they're working anyway. So I'm kind of like a relief from work. We talk a little bit, and then, work. So it's fine. That's why I call them reading and productivity.
Oh, so you can be at home programming your reports if you just wanted to get that done. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, I have a lot of people that are working while they're sprinting with me. And like I said, I do that at work too. Like, I mean, I can't have somebody on while I'm running around the hospital, but on my lunch break or when I have a break, I'll put on a sprint and sprint with folks. Cool. Most of the time I'm not even reading because I can't carry it around, but
Alan, I don't know. WTF is wrong with my phone tonight. Everyone is watching this live is messed up. My apologies. Yeah, Alan, maybe you should try the Wi-Fi downstairs and see if that works, because your phone not cutting it all the time. Ask Courtney what tea she's been drinking lately. You like tea, Courtney?
I am always drinking tea. I bring a cup of tea to almost every one of my lives. I'm a tea person. I could be drinking other stuff. Tea is much better. So, but I love a good green. No, I don't really love a good green tea. I drink green tea, but I don't really love it. But licorice tea is awesome. This was chai.
You see, my weakness is sweet tea. I buy it by the gallon at Walmart and just
Well, I'm trying to cut some sugar because I've just been horrible lately. But no, I like hot tea, and I'm from the South, so I grew up with sweet tea. But I'm trying to, limit some sugar. But so I generally drink my tea. Like if I do licorice tea, I don't put anything in it because it's kind of naturally sweet. And I don't know. I'm just trying to change my palate. I'm trying to change up my eating habits a bit and stuff. It's a struggle in these American streets with sugar everywhere, So, but I generally don't put sugar in my tea.
Okay. I've tried to drink unsweetened tea, and it's just like, no.
It's an acquired taste. It's like beer and cigars. It's an acquired taste. I won't say it's the most satisfying, but if it's going to cut some calories, I'm going to do it.
I like my beer, but I'm not. I've tried smoking a cigar once or twice, and I'm going, no, not for me.
No, I'm not a cigar person.
Peter the Book Lover. This month, I plan on only long books.
Ooh.
I'm reading The Terror. After that, I plan to read Moby Dick, then War and Peace. And the next plan on Count of Monte Cristo. I've actually read all of those books.
Ooh, how'd you like it?
The Terror is one of the best historical horror fiction novels ever written. You know that one?
Frame?
What
history time frame is The Terror?
It is 19th century, around 1830, 1840. It's about a ship that's going to try to find the Northern Passage. You know the Northern Passage, right? Where they said if you sail north, you can get to the ice at the right time of year and get to the other side of the world.
Yes.
And it's a ship that gets stuck in the ice in wintertime.
Why does that sound familiar?
Well, it is partially based on truth. There was a ship called the Terror that was looking for the Northern Passage, and they got stuck in the ice, and everyone died, as I remember. But in this story, they find something in the ice.
Ooh, da-dun-da-dun.
And let's just say it's a horror novel, so you can find some good stuff.
That sounds familiar. Somebody was it for or from? Somebody was reading some book about some Norwegian ship that got stuck. It sounded familiar up until you said something was stuck. They found something in the ice.
Well, the thing is, that part is true. There was a ship that really did get stuck in the ice. So there's probably more than one novel that talks about that situation. Moby Dick is great. War and Peace is great. Count of Monte Cristo is great.
I've heard about a graphic novel of the Count of Monte Cristo somebody told me about.
All right. Yeah, here's Alan saying the Terror is the shite. William?
I've not read any of those.
I recently got invited as a guest for, excuse me, as a guest for a reading sprint on another channel, but it's 3 a.m. my time.
You can wake up and do it. Go ahead.
At 3 a.m., I'm asleep.
That's dedication.
It is. Are you going to do it, William? Says bad. Maybe he will.
I did wake up at 5 a.m. once to support. I didn't have to work, but I wasn't a guest, but I was going to support a booktuber. And I was just going to wake up. I was having a lot of bouts of insomnia. And I was like, well, I might be up. So even if I wake up for 10 minutes, it's showing support because not too many people actually was going to her sprint. And then she didn't even show up. I was like, you know what? That's the end of me setting an alarm because I naturally caught the sprint a few times. But I actually set an alarm, and when she didn't show, I was like, I'm done with this support. I'm going to catch you if it's past 8 a.m.
So here's another question from Fred. Courtney, other than reading sprints, what is the best time of day for you to sit, relax, and read? Do you enjoy reading outdoors or indoors?
Ooh, I would say, oh my gosh, I would say I tend to try to do all of my chores if I'm off by 3 p.m. And then I like to sit and read. If it is summertime, I would love to be outside. Has that happened lately? No, because the weather has been a hater. But when the weather is nice and I have time, I am outside all summer long. This is the first summer in a while I have not been. And I like reading both. At night, I read in bed. During the day, I like to read outside.
Yeah. I mean, I did a whole video of all my reading spots, and I'm fortunate that I've got a big enough house that I can have a number of spots that I can choose from. Now, for me, like reading time is when I get up in the morning, my first task is feeding the cats because you have to feed the cats.
Do it.
Then I go for a walk. I do a walk every morning, usually half hour to an hour, and I listen to audiobooks on my walk. And then I usually do YouTube when I get back from my walks, and then start reading around 11 or so, and then throughout the day. And usually after around 10 p.m., my brain just turns off and says, "You're not accepting any more words into your brain."
Are you retired?
Yeah, I'm retired.
Oh, okay. Lucky you and Alan. Okay. I was wondering. I was like, hold up. I didn't see computer programming in there.
No, what happened is when I lived in Washington State, I had a fairly good computer programming job in healthcare, but the job switched because our company got bought out by another company. You probably know that all, but and then the type of computer programming I was doing for the new company, they had another person doing that. They said, well, we're going to switch you this over. And I was working in healthcare, and I don't know how far what part of healthcare you work in, but I was assigned a task to help pay providers their bonus checks.
They get bonuses? Oh my gosh. So that's my hospital.
Well, we were in Medicare and Medicaid. So you had all your patients that were signed up, and every doctor was supposed to visit or have a visit with every member every year. And in Medicaid, you get paid based on how sick your patient is. Right. So if you have diabetes, you're grossly obese, and you have an amputated limb, those are three ways you get paid extra money. But you have to re-diagnose that every year.
Yeah, probably to validate it. Yes, make sure it's a condition that exists.
It's like you're validating that their amputated limb is still amputated.
You never know. It may grow back.
You never know, but we laugh at that because I understand why they do it. But so every month I'd have to get a report from the doctors saying, I've seen these patients, I've re-diagnosed all these conditions, or what new conditions they've been. So they get more money if they diagnose a new condition.
True.
And so I was working with 3 other people farming data out, and I had to put them all together. And if their data was wrong, I got the blame.
Oh.
And I was not being paid to be a supervising programmer. So when we sold our house in Washington for more than we anticipated, I said, I'm just going to retire, just not deal with that stuff anymore. So that's how, I'm not technically retired because I'm not old enough to qualify for benefits, but I'm not going back out in the job market. So I'm retired.
As long as you're able to do that, enjoy it. A lot of people don't even have the opportunity and the finance to retire at retirement age. So, hey, I am not mad at you. But why did you come out to the East Coast versus being on the West Coast?
Well, it's interesting. Well, we used to live out here. I was born in Washington, D.C., and with my wife, we lived in Virginia for a number of years, and she got a job, and we were living at that time, Manassas, Virginia. And no, we moved, Woodbridge, Virginia, and moved like 10 minutes further away. But that 10 minutes actually was like 20 to 25 minutes on our commute each way. Mm-hmm. So it's like she spent an extra hour commuting every day. Mm-hmm. And she said, I'm so tired of this commute. So then she got a job offer in Washington. Mm-hmm. So we moved all the way out to Washington. We lived there for 15 years. And then after COVID, her job went permanently full work at home.
Hey.
Yay! And then she decided, I want to move back to Virginia.
Might as well.
It worked. And the thing is, now, California housing prices are just through the roof.
No, not California.
Yeah, well, the thing is, Washington State's not too far behind.
You can be in New York where you can't even have a house. You're getting a condo and still paying $500,000.
Yeah. So when we sold our house in Washington, we said, well, we made a bit of money off that. So that's why I moved and just never looked for another job.
Washington State, I used to stay in Seattle and it was nice out there. But yeah, housing prices were crazy, but I consider that kind of like the little cubbyhole of the U.S. It's like Seattle, that little area, a bunch of mountains, and the rest of the United States. And
I just love that area of the world. It's just beautiful.
It is. I was the healthiest I was out there, and the summers are like the most perfect summers.
Oh, there is nothing better than the summer. Your day you should be like maybe 72 degrees, maybe 75, and.
It was nice. And then within 45 minutes, you can be in the mountains and snow. It was just awesome.
It was. Now, the thing that my wife did not like was the rain.
Yeah, you get used to it, though.
I didn't mind. It's like, it's a little bit of wet outside, but it's not really raining. It's not like a downpour, but.
You just get used to it. I don't know. When I lived there, I was like a single person. And it was just, I don't know. I feel like, if I was married and had family and stuff at the time, I think it would have been a great place to stay. But people are weird out there. I don't know.
It's called the Seattle freeze.
Yeah, it was weird because I'm from the South. I'm a sociable person. I look crazy now, but I'm a reasonably attractive individual. And I felt like I was like growing 3 ears out there. I'm like, darn, you had a whole conversation with me. I'm cute. You want to ask me out? Like, it was just, I just felt like I would perpetually be single and never get a spouse if I stayed there. It was, and there was a lot of low-key racism too, but I just felt like this is not where I plan to stay forever. I need to get away from here.
Well, it's very different. Like I said, it's called the Seattle freeze because they just they'll acknowledge you exist, but you're not one of us. Yeah. We don't really want you.
And everybody was about what job you had too. It was like the first thing. It's like, is that what you're going to lead with? If my job does not fit your criteria, then I'm not even worth talking to. It was just odd. The But I enjoyed the amount of activities. I was very active out there. And after a while, I stopped concentrating. I mean, I wasn't concentrating and desperate. I'm not saying that. But I just was like, you know what? I'm not worried about dating anybody. Let me just see if I can get a good core group of friends, 2 or 3 people that I can hang with. So I found other people that I guess were the undesirables like me. And we just started doing things, and the lonely people that got to go hiking.
Yeah.
And I had fun after that. I was happy to move. I enjoyed my
Virginia,
time.
The first week we moved in our house, one of the women of the street says, "Hi, I'm Barbara. I'm having an event on the night. Come on over. It's potluck."
What? You're like, okay.
Now, the thing is, we did move into a 55 plus community. So it's already sort of nichey. You know, just most people are retired here. We still have some people work, but most people are retired. So it is a very different feel.
Are those communities more expensive than others, like just for the fact that it's a niche?
It's a little. I mean, in our community, we have a very nice clubhouse that we have to pay for.
Yeah.
And we have like lawn maintenance that comes in with our HOA fees, so we don't have to ever mow the lawn.
I would love that. That's one of the reasons I want to sell my house. Lawn maintenance is for the birds. This is my 4th house, and home ownership sucks. I want a condo or a townhouse with a little patch of grass. That's it. I don't want anything else. I stay on the cul-de-sac with a little pie. It's a huge pie of land that I don't want to have to deal with anymore.
I'm with you there. I mean, I was trying to get my wife interested in moving to Chicago.
Good luck with that.
Well, we were looking at it. And the housing or the condo prices in condos are rather reasonable in Chicago.
Really? Oh.
But you get down to your condo fees and your taxes.
Mm-hmm.
And we calculated out, because we looked at some condos we liked, and okay, this is your condo fee. These are your taxes. That's $2,000 a month.
That's a lot.
For condo fees and taxes. Not even including the mortgage.
Yeah, you always got to add in all those fees attached to it. Like, I don't mind an HOA, but it definitely has to be reasonable. Just, yeah. Yeah, that's a lot. But I do like maintenance free, I will say.
I love maintenance free. I do. All right, let me catch up with our comment.
We see you on the comments.
Did those before. Williamson is trying to catch up. Alan, Courtney, I've been drinking honey chai turmeric tea lately.
Sounds good for your health.
That would be terrible. And Bad does not like tea.
Really? What do you drink? Coffee? Licorice tea is good, naturally sweet.
Here's Bad. If I accidentally swallow tea, I will spit it out.
It's like water with a little flavoring.
Yeah. I wonder, do you drink coffee, Bad? I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same general principle, just using beans instead of leaves.
I feel like it's not as strong, and you're not left with that coffee breath. My husband's a big coffee drinker. I'm a tea drinker.
Alan, baking salmon fillets currently. That's why he's really not on. He's baking his salmon fillet and not talking to us.
Alan be cooking some good food. He be sending me messages of it sometimes.
Bad is having catfish tonight. Peter, I've read all those. Say Moby Dick. I choose not to read Moby Dick like Bartleby. Yeah, he's making a joke. Bartleby the Scrivener. Alan's on me for not making a doctor's appointment. Yeah, I know. He's on my death row meal.
Hopefully not anytime soon, Alan, okay?
Here's Fred. Greg, your daily routine sounds so relaxing. I am looking forward to when I'm able to do the same. Honestly, selling real estate is really what made it possible. Just got very lucky, very young, getting into real estate. Peter, I read Gone with the Wind last month, and I really liked it. That is the longest book I've read so far. It took me 10 days to read it. You know, I read Gone with the Wind, and I didn't say I hated it, but it just didn't do much for me.
How many pages is that?
Gone with the Wind's like 800, 900.
Oh, really? Oof. I was going to look it up. Yeah, I haven't even seen the movie all the way through. I've seen some of it, but yeah, I have no desire. Some books I just have no desire to read whatsoever.
Yeah. Here's bad. I have a beautiful book, like the book Gone with the Wind, called Roses by Leila Machen, that I want to read. I don't know that one.
I'm going to look it up.
Peter, I've been planning on reading Moby Dick for a while now, and I'm looking forward to it. I hear it's a fantastic book. It is a fantastic book. Christopher, oh, the rain, so wonderful, so wet, so excellent. I guess he's talking about the Pacific Northwest.
You get used to it.
You do get used to it. I mean, as I said, you get more rain here in Virginia than you get in Seattle, but you have more rainy days in Seattle.
I always explain it when people ask me, because they always, when I ever say I lived in Seattle 3.5 years, they're like, oh, what about all the rain? I always say you get the same amount of rain as almost anywhere else, is just how it falls. Right. It just drizzles for 2 weeks on end instead of just falling and getting it over with. Yep. So that's why you just deal with it.
Yep. Gone with the Wind is also a great movie. It is a really interesting movie after reading the book. I've read Moby Dick maybe 15 times, and it never fails to continue to surprise me and astonish me. The most beautiful book. Long-time listener, first-time caller, Alan. Wait a second. He's in here twice. It's big hard book.
Another profile.
I've never heard of the Book of Roses. Here's Alan just laughing at his own joke. Yeah, Peter, property taxes in Chicago are very high. Chicago is so great, though. All the Shakespeare, all the great food. Their Chinatown is massive.
But you got the cold winter.
You got a really cold winter, and you got a really hot summer.
I've been to Chicago once. It was on 4th of July. I used to live in Seattle, so I was driving from Seattle to the East Coast. And somehow we timed it right to where we were in Chicago on the 4th of July, and we hit up that Taste of Chicago festival, which is huge. I was going to say disgusting, delicious food. It was awesome. And I enjoy the heat because I'm from Texas. So I loved it. However, it was convoluted getting there. I cannot imagine. I'm not a city girl. Like, I don't want to live in the city. I want to live near it, but I don't want to live in any big city. It's just too much people on top of each other. I'm looking up that book bad called Roses, by the way. It's 609 pages. Sounds pretty interesting.
See, I always thought living in the city would be fun. You have your condo. I could go down, find a pub, not having to worry about how much I drank. You know, you have theaters, you have bookstores. Like, this part of Virginia has no really good bookstore that I can go to.
But where's your green space, though? I like to walk outside. I want to pull up in my car and drive in my driveway.
Well, that's what I have. I have a drive, and if you've seen some of my videos, I back up to a ravine. So it's like a 40-foot drop off where they have
scary
a retaining wall they built in to keep. And the reason why we got the house is that 40 feet is a pretty big drop off.
Yes.
And a lot of the people in the retirement community have grandchildren that come to visit, and they want their grandchildren to come to visit. And they think, I don't want my grandchild going anywhere near a 40-foot drop off. So that's how I got my lot. But that ravine is so deep, you cannot build anything there. So it's just full of trees and greenery, and there's a fox that lives back there, and it's very nice. Well, let's get some more here. Chris, an excellent companion to Moby Dick is Ahab's Rolling Sea, A Natural History of Moby Dick by Richard King. Now, Courtney, you muted yourself just a minute ago.
Oh, no, I'm good. Yeah, I had to tell my husband something. I keep hearing some car alarms go off outside. I want to make sure it's not ours.
Peter the Book Lover. How is Atlas Shrugged for a long book? Atlas Shrugged is, I'm going to say something, should be read when you are young. In your 20s. Ayn Rand was very idealistic when she wrote that. And it appeals to the libertarian mind, political mind. But as I get older, I just look at Ayn Rand and I just shake my head and going, no, that's not right. Now, Courtney, are you familiar with Atlas Shrugged?
No, I'm looking it up now. It's 1,244 pages, so I've already lost interest.
Yeah. The whole idea is that she really rails against people leeching off the system. That there are people who will just piggyback on the success of other people, and she's really, really against that.
Yeah.
And the whole idea is that all these really super smart people who are all the movers and shakers basically decide to go on strike and bring the thing down. It's all about that. But she was so passionate about not living off other people's, basically productivity. But she herself was on social assistance in later life after she wrote the book. So you could you're kind of hypocritical there,
Did she not make any money off the book?
She made money, but not enough to pay all of her bills.
It's 1,244 pages. Not so many people got
that may be short. I think mine was 1,400 in the paperback. So.
That's a lot. That's a select group of people that will read that.
It is a very long book. Rhett Butler is a fantastic character from Gone with the Wind.
Yes.
Okay, we are at the end of comments. So, what other topic? Have we fully exhausted Garbogist on all the possibilities of Garbogist?
Wait, Garbogist is interesting. I looked at Ollie's definition of trash, and while I read that, I believe and have no qualms with doing so, I think that, especially lately, I've read a lot of books. Like, you know how you get a shifter book, right? Like, I love shifter books, okay? And but a lot of them tend to have substance themes behind them. Like even, let's say, Ice Planet Barbarians, right? You've heard of that?
I've heard of it, never read it.
I haven't read any. I want to read some maybe for a Garbogist. But I have a friend that has done like spoilers on some of them, whatever. But even a lot of them have themes. So while it is written to make money and definitely contains some interesting smut and is about aliens and has erotica, there are themes behind them that are serious and all sorts of themes too. Like miscarriages, trafficking, adoption. Like there's a whole lot of things. So it's like they're written to make money, but they also have some serious themes. So do they fit into that? I would consider yes. And so that's the thing about a lot of the books that I read, especially lately. I'm trying to read things of more substance in the last 2-3 years, but they tend to have serious themes along with the trash. So to me, I feel like I'm learning some good stuff too.
Yeah,
so
I have never read a shifter romance.
Really? Oh man.
Garbogist.
KU, dude. You need to get on KU.
I'm probably going to subscribe to KU after July for Garbaugust, and
put that $10 down. All you got to do, I think you can hit almost all of those prompts on that. But yeah, Kindle Unlimited has some really good stuff. I really enjoyed a membership from that. I've canceled lately because I've been using the library a lot. But yes, definitely.
Well, the thing is, the libraries I have don't carry Kindle Unlimited books for the most part. They carry some, but not a lot of them.
A lot of the like smuttier, like a lot of those like romance, erotica, whatever stuff. A lot of libraries don't sell those because a lot of those are like indie published type things, you know, that people put on there. And some of them you can tell that, you know, maybe they self-publish or something because, you know, sometimes things don't flow as well. Sometimes you have some edits that may need to be done, but you know, that's all part of it. I like that you have such variety because people sometimes, you know, just throw their book out there and see what happens, you know, and you never know what may or may not gain a following.
Yeah. I mean, I understand, like when the Kindle first came out in 2008, they opened up the self-publishing that just took off. I read a few of the earlier self-published books. And unfortunately, the ones I picked up, some of them really were not very well done.
They're not equal.
I remember one. It was science fiction about aliens invading Earth or something. And the author, let's just say, I mean, I'm not a very good speller. I admit that I'm not a very good speller. But this author did not put any effort in whatsoever to get spelling close to being correct. It's like he talked about grisly parts, grisly graves, and grisly deaths.
Okay.
You know, Grisly, but he spelled it Grizzzy. Okay, there's a book about a bear, you know.
I mean, maybe he was playing on words.
No, he just did not know the difference.
But you know what? They're not all created equal. And what's great about, and this isn't all Kindle Unlimited, because there is Colleen Hoover on Kindle Unlimited too. There's some really good books, but they're also easier. Huh?
No, I was about to say, Kindle Unlimited is also going back to books that have fallen out of print. And older books and say, let's bring these back as Kindle. And that's where most of my attention that I would focus on is these older books that are being brought back that would be more expensive to buy in paperback because they're now out of print. And they got all the good covers that you love, but you don't want to pay for.
Yes. Yeah. Kindle Unlimited you get because you want variety and you want value. And you can get as cheesy and simple or as complicated and prolific as you want on Kindle Unlimited. And that's what I like about it. So you got variety and access. So I really do like that. But, you know, you can definitely get your smut. I feel like it's definitely known for that, but it's not all that. And you can also get, I think it's Comixology. Don't ask me.
No, they've dropped that.
Oh, they did? Okay. Is that separate membership?
One of the books that I'm going to get is Taken by the Tetris. That's aliens porn with blocks.
Okay. Go right ahead.
You know, it fits a number of Garbaugust blocks, you know.
Sounds like a Chuck Tingle book. But yes, see, you can get so many different things out there. I really like that aspect of it. So yeah, you can get series too. That's another thing out there is a lot of times you have these authors that produce a book. And like, to me, I'm not into the commercialism of reading. I just want to read a good story. So I don't really buy a whole lot of books. So Kindle Unlimited is really good in allowing me to be able to read without, you know, like read a variety without having to spend a bunch of money. But they also tend to have full series on there. Like you can have Prime, which may give you like the first book in a series. But if you get Kindle Unlimited, you can get the entire series for the most part. So I really like that. And you get exposure to a lot of different authors, which I think is really nice.
Yeah. I said, I'm going to subscribe for August and see how it goes. Bad at Faulkner in August. I don't know if Faulkner is going to be good for Bad. I think she may have to, like, it's like a marathon. You got to start with your 1K before you do your 26K, you know. And Faulkner is definitely in the 26K category.
I keep hearing all these fireworks, y'all. I keep forgetting.
I'm hearing fireworks too. You might be hearing them from mine.
Oh no, I hear them out the window. I'm gonna text my husband, see if he can see them out the block. He'll kindly walk down the street and go check out.
Alan gives funny read choices by Jackie Collins with Nettie.
Oh my gosh. I think I have a Danielle Steele book here somewhere. I gotta look. I went to a library sale a while back and I just picked up a bunch of rando books. And this is when I first started Booktube. And that's when I realized I am not into the commercialism of Booktube. I went to that one library sale and got a bunch of books. And now I very minimally get books when I go. But I do like to go and just look at stuff.
So here's Bad. She is ready for Garbage. She's got her bunny ears and books.
Yay!
Cormac McCarthy first, though. Here's Bad. Would you read a book of romance smut if I sent you one, Greg? Something I enjoyed I would. If you want to send it to me, I will definitely try to squeeze it in for Garbage. It's not a whole lot of room in Garbage, but I think I can squeeze it in.
Do you have your TBR already set?
I have TBR and I have a lot of possibilities saying I might read this, I might read that. So I might switch out Bad's smut for the Jilly Cooper book or something like that. You know, just you switch it out, see what comes up. That's a Bad. Yeah, definitely Alan Cormac. I think we're missing a conversation. That's okay. Bad says, I love smut dark romance, Courtney.
I enjoyed them too. We should do a buddy read in August.
You should know. Now, Courtney, you recommended a shifter romance in your video today. I've got that down. It's available on Kindle Unlimited. So if I join, I may pick that as my shifter romance. Is that a long shifter romance or is it a short one?
It was short. I made it. It was just a random one, but it's in the categories of stuff. But it's a short one. I made sure it's under 200 pages, and it is a series, but you don't need to read the others in the series. They're different characters.
Oh, so it's not like the first in the book.
No. It's yeah. No, you don't. The second in the series follows different characters, so it's definitely a standalone. I am not a series person. Like I said before, I don't like super long books, and I don't like books in a series. So I'm all about standalones. It takes a lot for me to read something that is not a standalone.
You know, I feel the same about series. Is that this is just a personal opinion. Is like when an author writes a book series is usually good, like up to book 4. And then once you start getting into book 5 and 6, you're getting into questionable territory. And then once you're in like book 30 or something, and you're going like, okay,
that's a lot.
It is a lot. And I guess for some it's okay, you know. But I've never really finished a series that long.
If you're not following the same characters, it might be okay. But I don't want to follow the same characters past book 1. Well, okay, I'll give you 2 books, maybe. I'll give you a duology. But past that, I'm just like, I'm done. Because especially like, it's not all about Booktube, but I feel like when it comes to Booktube, then I don't want to give spoilers. And if I'm going to a second book with the same characters, I may be spoiling it for other folks. But also, it's like I have so many books that I hear about all the time that I'm just like itching to read, that because it gives me anxiety when I'm like, oh, I'm still on this book and I got this other book I want to read. So I don't want to keep reading about the same characters. I feel like you couldn't have put it just in the other one book. And then after a while, even no matter how good the book is for me, just in my head that I'm starting to get bored if the book goes on too long, or if I have to go to a whole nother book to continue reading about the characters. It's like, we're not done. Like, let's wrap this up so I can see the resolution of these people so I can go to this book, you know? So it's in my head. I just can't do it.
I'm going to recommend a mystery series. You read mystery books?
Every once in a while.
I'm going to, even the people here, a very good series by Tana French. She is an Irish crime writer. And her first book was called like Into the Woods. And you had the narrator who was a police detective, and his sidekick was a woman as a police detective. And you go through your mystery, and the solution and solving the crime was such that the main character said, you know, I'm done. I'm turning in my resignation. I don't want to be a police detective anymore. And so the second book is narrated by his partner. And then she goes through a crime, says, you know, I really can't be a police officer anymore. And she drops off. And then her boss narrates the third book. So you're following characters, but each has a different narration. And the third book did something. And I just thought it was so brilliant because you have the main character who, for reasons of story, I don't want to get too much, there's a crime where they discovered his girlfriend that abandoned him 17 years ago was found dead. He's been dead for 17 years. So that's the crime is like, he's really not supposed to be investigating the crime of his dead girlfriend. And there's a regular detective trying to solve it. And the other detective is basically the enemy of the book. Say, this man is a terrible human being.
Terrible human being.
But he narrates the fourth book. And he said, well, how could I read a book that a man who's that terrible? But she does it in such a way is that she remains true to the character that was described in the third book, but you get a different perspective on why he is that way. And it was absolutely brilliant transferring of one character to another.
It sounds interesting. My concern is that there's going to be too much overlap in there. I guess as long as something happens, though. Because I recently read a book that was told from two different perspectives, alternating, and it was the same action or lack thereof, really. And I was just like, I hated this book. I hated it.
Oh, bad. I'm still searching for hot tomatoes for Greg. That's her comment about women on pulp covers who are kind of you know, they're showing off their assets. Old covers.
It sells, right?
Well, it used to sell. They don't do them like that. Alan, I adore lesbian vampiric prison romance.
That's oddly specific. That definitely fits.
That would fit the oddly specific category. I don't know. I don't know of any book that fits that. I don't know if there is one.
Yeah, I've never heard of that. I want to know if you find that. You send me the title, Alan.
Yeah, let us know. We'll do a whole group read on that one.
But then that gets into the whole idea of, like I said, page numbers, right? When you're getting into these little romances, especially erotica type romance, to me, I even lower the page count even further. Like, to me, 200 pages max. And if it's straight erotica, I'm hard pressed if that sucker's over 100, 150 pages. Like, I start getting specific because after a while, it's just boring. It's like, really? Okay, you've done this, okay.
All right, so, you did it in chapter 1 and chapter 3, you're doing it again. And
well, no, they got to do it a few times.
All right.
I'll give you 3 times and then the book's done, okay? But I'm just saying that there's a limit of if there's not something interesting. Like I said, I like a unique perspective in a book to keep me interested. So
yeah.
If it's romance, I already know how it ends. So why are we at 300, 400, 500 pages and already know how it ends?
So here's Fred. Do either of you have any fun plans for 4th of July celebrations? Or will it be a chill day tomorrow? What about you, Courtney?
I will be working tomorrow, so that's my day. After here, I'm going to have another cup of tea, and I am going to bed so I can get up early tomorrow. How about you, Fred and Greg?
I already had my 4th of July celebration yesterday. As I said, I visited some friends invited to their lake house down south in Virginia on the border with North Carolina. And it's a very, very rural area of Virginia, but they have a winery down there.
Ooh, interesting.
So the winery puts on a 4th of July show. And they put it on Sunday because they don't want to have a 4th of July in the middle of the week on Tuesday. And so you had people bring their tents and their lawn chairs, and you could go to their front and buy some wine and drink a bottle of wine while you're watching the fireworks, and it was a lot of fun. And then our neighbor has invited us to a potluck tomorrow. No fireworks, but just getting together and having some food. That's my plan for 4th of July. Now, Fred is Canadian.
Oh, okay.
I don't think he's going to be doing too much.
You have to worry about all the chaos.
No.
Well, at least you don't have to worry about, Greg, for the traffic and all that stuff, though, because there's a lot of people that are still planning to go away and do stuff. And if you're already done things, then you stay where you're home. I'm a big fan of staying home for holidays. I will travel around a holiday, but not on a holiday.
I agree. I mean, it's just the traffic, especially in this area of Washington, D.C. It's just, I can't get to D.C. in under an hour, 15, 20 minutes. I'm only like 50 miles away. So it's just like.
If I have to travel south, like my sister used to stay in North Carolina and I would drive and stuff, I planned all of my traffic around the DC area, like, but when I left, because traffic is just so horrible there.
Yeah. So here's Al. I'm considering Legends of the Fall.
Ooh.
My next kind of romance adventure epic. Not my usual genre, but I love the movie of the 90s. I never saw the movie.
How dare you, Greg? How dare you?
I'm not a big movie watcher, so.
I used to be. I read now a lot more, but back in the day, Brad Pitt was my man.
Brad Pitt was your man. All right.
I don't think I would ever read that book, but the movie was excellent.
So Monique Anderson, book 30 of a series. It's like giving Law and Order SUV. You know, I have a couple. I don't think you can see them, but like I have a old science fiction series that has like 36 some odd books, and a couple of Western series that I've just gotten into. I haven't bought the whole series. It's like 52 books. And then there's this cowboy smut that has like 400 book series.
That fits into Garbagas, 100 or more books in the series.
It does. I'm definitely reading. Well, I'm not reading the Western. I'm reading a spy series that has a couple hundred books in the series. So that's what I'm doing for my 100 book. So
these over 100 books in this series, what's the page count of these books?
Usually, the spy one I'm reading is almost always under 200.
Okay.
Some of them may go to like 210, 220.
Okay, but about 200 realm. Okay, I was just curious. Yeah.
Okay. Some of these Westerns may go 250, but the Western ones are kind of like they're smutty Westerns. So what you have is
smutty country Western in the day.
You have a Western story, guy, gun, cattle rustler, gun, go have a big fight. That's the Western. In between, the good guy with the gun got to bet a couple of ladies, and
I've had the mail order bride. The cowboy needs a bride, but that's just not my thing.
The smutty Westerns are funny because they're just ridiculous, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, here out of nowhere, the main character goes like, well, I'll take this book to these clothes to the laundress. Oh, you're a very beautiful young lady, laundress. Let's hop in the back. And then just go on to the next chapter. No mention of the laundry ever again.
Totally garbagus. Totally
garbagus.
I feel like the what you're talking about, like some of those books back in the day truly fit garbagus compared to like maybe some of what I'm going to actually read, which is fine because I'm going to make sure it's something I want to read. But I feel like erotica and a lot of books these days, they put a little bit more, I think, substance into especially some of the ones I've read at KU. I feel like they go out of their way to add a little bit more substance than I think they had back.
Well, you mentioned that
a little bit more plot with the smut.
what I gathered is like they have an issue that's current in the times. Let's say like human trafficking.
Yeah.
Like, and if you're a shifter romance, you got your shifter character, your woman character. Well, there's these people trafficking. We got to go stop them. And on the way, we'll just get down to the nasty and stop that. Have I got it?
Why not? I mean, have you smut, and take care of some legitimate human issue. I don't know. I've some books. I feel like, especially since I've gone in Booktube. Because before I used to read just a bunch of just random anything I came across. And I try to be a little bit more honed in since I now have recommendations and a community that kind of shares my love of reading. And, there's a whole bunch of different niches within Booktube as well. And I'm one of those people that I float in and out of different groups. Like some groups that I communicate with totally don't read anything of the other groups that I communicate with, And, but I've learned a lot just about like the book industry and publishing and even just how people review and things. So I'm a lot more sensitive, I think, now to what I read and what I will and will not pick up. And to me, I think more so than anything lately, especially is representation matter, especially when it comes to books and seeing myself in books and also around the time period of books that I read of what the representation was like around that time period. So there's some things that I'm just like, nope, I'm going to completely stay away from that maybe 3-4 years ago I probably would have picked up. But there's a lot of really good books out there. It just depends on how you feel about it and where you want to go with it.
Yeah, I mean, I would not have picked up any of the cowboy smut books. I mean, I just would just not have done it. It's like,
and now you got a whole series. See, look at you.
And there's more than one series. I mean, there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of them. I mean, if a book in Cowboy Smut has more than 400 books in this series, obviously there are people reading these.
People made some money. How many different authors is that? There's different authors, right? Not the same one?
As I understand it, most of these are always done by house name. And you have a couple of different authors. Because usually, like, it's you get one of these books one a month or one every other month. So,
okay, like a series or
a series. So you got a couple authors pumping them out.
All right. That's
now one of the ones that criminally really loved was the Edge series. Now that one's not smut Western. That's just more violent Western, more typical Western, and apparently he wrote all 52 of his own books.
Wow, that's a lot. That's some talent and that's dedication. I appreciate that.
Well, some people can write very fast.
Mm-hmm.
The British author Anthony Trollope. I mean, I don't know if you read. You've probably at least heard of Anthony Trollope before. Maybe not. Well, apparently, he could write 250 words in 15 minutes.
What? That's you know what? When you are, I've heard that artists' brains work differently, right? So, and that's artists from like people that create paintings and sculptures all the way to entertainers, because there's artists to be able to have this concept of the concert we go to and put that on. And to me, writing is also an art form. The idea that your brain works and you can just sit here and be like, here's some alien smut, and the alien went to the blah, 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 blah. And then, like that to me is artistry. People, might call that trash in a bad way and not even think that, not everybody can just do that.
It really is a talent that.
Yeah, I think it's beautiful.
I mean, I tried to be a writer in my 20s and I did not succeed at all. So, but that's just the way I was built. But some people can just sit down and knock it out.
I used to write crappy short stories back in high school and then in college, and that was definitely not talent.
Sooner like when I was doing this, I'm going to be really great someday, and then I figured out when I'm older, you were really crappy back then, and you didn't realize it. So, Peter, I read 3 books of The Little House on the Prairie, and I plan on reading more. I have never read any of the books in The Little House on the Prairie.
I haven't either. I've seen the show and I have seen the books. Where have I seen the books? Like in thrift shops, but never have read them.
Portland Tarot. Wonder, this long-time listener, first-time caller. Yeah. Wonder who that could be. Bad as Rad. Sex has to have a great story.
No, it doesn't. Sometimes it does not. It does not.
Portland Tarot. Courtney, be safe at work tomorrow. Crazy night.
Yes, it is. I hope that y'all are all safe tomorrow, by the way, okay? People will be out and about. If you can, stay home.
They'll be drinking.
Yes. They will be drinking, they'll be driving, you may be as well. So just be safe, not necessarily driving, but even if you are, I'm just saying be safe. And if you can, I would suggest you stay close to home. That's just my personal opinion.
Yeah.
Be safe on the roads. I work in a hospital.
Are you going to get, you don't work in the emergency room, do you?
I do sometimes, yes.
Okay. So you might be coming in and be like, I blew off my fingers.
It happens.
I know it happens.
It happens. People get too close to fireworks. People fall. People get freaked out. Pets tend to freak out with fireworks, even if they're at home. People tend to trip over them. It's a lot of random stuff.
It really, I mean, there are some dogs, as people like in Washington State, where I lived, they had no rules about home fireworks on 4th of July. Say, whatever you want to do, 4th of July, 10 a.m. to midnight, go for it. So once it got dark, everyone was blowing things up and, just sending, and it just got really noisy and it was really annoying. And people said some of their dogs are terrified. And the dog is hiding, is cowering under the bed, and their cats are cowering. And when we lived there, my wife and I said, we're taking our pets, we're putting them in a animal shelter for the night that's away from the zone of fireworks. Mm-hmm. And we're going to Oregon and having a nice peaceful night when no one sets off fireworks. Mm-hmm. In Oregon, they said, no, you don't get to blow up fireworks.
Yeah, my dog does not like fireworks. My other dog passed away recently, but he especially didn't like fireworks. The other one now, she's okay. But he would walk around the house like howling and stuff with the fireworks, and it's just, it just gives anxiety. So like the big fireworks holidays are New Year's and 4th of July. And I specifically tailored to those where I'm at home. I don't generally plan to go out for New Year's or 4th of July for those reasons, so that I could be at home with my dog.
I just don't really care that much. Like New Year's Eve, like I don't really want to spend all night drinking. And
as you get older, you don't need that. I've been out trying to in the mini skirts in the cold weather. I'm good.
The only thing we did last year
at home too. So
on our block, we have some neighbors, and we said, well, we'll just bring some dinner over and have some drinks. And the thing is, it's all within walking distance. It's like maybe six houses up is going to be the long walk for someone. So
I would love that. I don't stay in a neighborhood where people, bond together like that. Like everybody has their own little households and they stay, like they say hi every now and then, but it's nothing like no animosity, but we don't, get together. But I hope a pipe dream maybe, but I would like to move and then I will go out of my way to try to find like friends that are walking distance. I think that's an awesome thing where you can go into each other's home and feel comfortable and give the house key to somebody if you go out of town.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's part of it, I think, is being in a 55 plus community, is that no one here is going to be super work obsessed. It's like, how many more years do I have until I can retire if you're not retired? And again, the neighbors is like my neighbor. He goes on vacation. He says, take care of my cat while I'm gone. I said, okay. And I go over, take care of his cat. And one of these days I'm going to go over and say, you got to take care of my cat. And he'll come over and he'll take care of the cat. No. And it's kind of nice to know, excuse me. You have that because you're not also so self-absorbed.
Yeah.
It's like when I was living in Washington, is like we lived in what I guess you would call an upper middle class neighborhood. So, my next door neighbor was a pediatrician, and her husband was a IT director, vice president. So they had super busy jobs, and they could not care the less what we did. Yeah. I mean, they say hi to us on the street because they're next door neighbor, but really, that's all that it was.
Yeah.
So good luck with finding a house. I mean, I think neighborhoods like that can exist. Probably even not 55 plus, but.
Well, if worst case scenario, I was still wouldn't mind like if you're closer to each other when you're in like a townhouse environment or something like that, then it's less distractions for other people. Like you're not so busy with, hey, I got to do lawn work or do all this other stuff. So hopefully people can kind of bond together, but it would be cheaper and you run into your neighbors more. Now it's like with individual houses and with the houses being so far apart, it's like it's hit or miss with people. You rarely see them or you see them from a distance. And it's just, I don't know. My neighborhood's okay. It's just like, I know I haven't been now. Well, I was going to say I haven't been in any of my neighbors' homes, but one just moved and they're renting the house. So I went in there and I helped her move and she gave me all sorts of stuff. But she was the only one that I communicated with, but it was still just a formal, informal relationship type thing, and then there's the neighbor around the block that every time I walk, my dog says hi and talks to me about the neighborhood, but we're not like close where it's like, hey, here's the key, or you can watch my dog, or I can drop my dog at your house if I go on a trip, like I'm still checking the security cameras. Like if I'm out of town, I'm checking the security cameras 3-4 times a day just to make sure,
And it's not like that exists with everyone. It's like, I have a couple people, it's like, I barely know their names.
Yeah.
And, that's the way they want it to be.
That's life. I think people are, we're, look at me, right? I could be out making more friends somewhere else, but I'm online communicating with other people because I don't want to other folks.
The guys in the neighborhood, I could say, let's go to the clubhouse and play pool. And something, if I said that, put out a text, I'd get a couple people saying, yeah, let's do that.
See, but that also is, it's how when you're in college or when you're in just school, you're forced to be around other people. It's just like work. At work, you're forced to be around people that you probably would not communicate with otherwise. And to a certain extent, that forges a relationship and a friendship where you meet people that you wouldn't normally, like I mean, not to say too much bad about myself, but I've had relationships with people that would never have picked me out on the street. But the fact that we worked together or we were somewhere together where we were forced to be, they got to know who I was, whereas they would have made judgment and told me to my face, they would have probably made certain judgments about me without getting to know me. But getting to know me it changed their opinion and opened them up to something that they probably would not have thought about before, right? Well, that's the same thing when it comes to, the clubhouse. You have this clubhouse where you have these people that are going to be, and you get to know them. So I think when you have some sort of catalyst to allow people to be in the same area, then it makes a difference. Whereas
it really does.
They're not going to be like, let me go seek Greg out over there,
Yeah, the thing is, like, we have a book group, but it's very hit or miss. But I think, like, I go to YouTube for book people, because there's no real book people in my neighborhood that I know of. It's just not something that you get together for a lot, unless you're like here, and we're all book people. And
it's easy to find friends here, though. It's not like I can just go up to the person on the street and be like, hey, be my friend, and I'm going to just come to your house tomorrow, and then I'm going to come tomorrow again, then I'm going to come the next day and the next day. On Booktube, I'm going to keep reaching out to you until you say, hey, Courtney, how you doing? Let me come to your channel. Oh, you're pretty cool. I'm going to drop in on your live. You can't normally do that. I drop in on random lives, and that's how I develop friendships.
I have people on Booktube. Now, Alan is the only person I've actually met in real life.
Okay.
But there's a lot of people who would say, you're friends, even though we've never met, and we live all over the country or world. And maybe someday I'll be in your part of the world and I'm going to say, beer and chicken wings? Maybe someone will say, yeah, let's do beer and chicken wings, or something like that.
There you go.
So Portland Tarot, this is the best show yet. Never seen Greg laugh so much. Almighty Olm, the Muses, the original fickle mistress. Here's Alan laughing.
Okay, Alan.
I agree with some that feel we all have creative potential. We stifle our own potential. I might go down to the river and catch the fireworks, sit on the bridge. That'd be fun in Portland. Christopher, people shoot off fireworks at the bus, which is memorable. In the bus or at the bus? He's saying at the bus.
Either one is not safe. I don't want to be part of either one.
No, that's someone who's had too much to drink or really stupid. Bad. Have a good night, Courtney and Greg. Bye, everyone. Goodbye, Bad. She's going to dinner. Later, Bad. More people saying goodbye to Bad. There's posters all over my complex. No fireworks.
Do people pay attention to that?
It should be. Let the people who know about fireworks set them off. And
I agree.
To celebrate the 4th of July and July 1st, I read about Ben Franklin. I know of a Canuck that showed him around Paris. I believe Almighty Olm is also Canadian. Community is the puzzle we need to solve today, and it may heal much of our modern malaise. IMO, decentralized communities.
I think that it is a problem that will not go away. And I think the more we have the internet, the worse it's going to get. In-person community, I mean.
But as I said, I interact a lot with the internet, especially on YouTube, especially with the lives, because we are actually interacting in real time.
I think it's creating a whole nother concept of community. And it is kind of decentralized, but I guess it depends on what perspective you're looking at. Because I feel like, okay, you got the TikToks and the IGs and the YouTubes of the world, right? So I think that's taking people out of like real in-person, like walking out on the street, physical community. But I think it's also building another community. But not all of them are like this. Like I think we have a book community with a common goal of reading. And then there's tons of different communities, even within this one. But then you have people that are on the internet that's just random, that like not looking at anything. But it's an online community to a certain extent. So,
So here you go, Courtney. Here's Alan. Courtney, When's your next vacay?
It is the end of the week.
Where are you going?
I am going to go to Bermuda.
Ooh, Bermuda. I've been to Bermuda. It is beautiful.
What do you recommend to go?
Well, there's no specific spot in Bermuda. Because I went there first on my honeymoon in '96. And we just found one of these hotels. They're basically mostly the same. It was probably a little on the cheap end because we were young and didn't have a lot of money, but we rented a moped.
That's what my husband wants to do. I'm scared to do that.
Yeah, it's a little scary. You're driving on the left instead of the right. So there's a couple instances where I had to make some rather quick turns. But you can take that moped and drive down some beautiful streets that are not the normal streets you drive on.
Mm.
These flowers hanging down over the road, and you kind of swerve your head, and it's so beautiful. And then there was one spot, I couldn't tell you where it is. I mean, there's probably a lot of spots like it, but it was just this field overlooking the sea. And it was sunset. We pulled the moped in, and we just got off the moped and watched the sunset.
Then made out in the bushes, right?
I won't tell you that part, but it's one of those experiences that when I'm a really old man, you remember that day in Bermuda when we got the moped and watched the sun go down.
That's beautiful.
It is.
Yeah,
so there's a lot of things like that you can do other than go to the beach.
Oh, I'm all for that. I want to plan to sit on the beach and watch the sun go down. But I don't know. We haven't figured out transportation because I'm not comfortable with renting a moped. I've never done that. And, they say it's not really for first timers. I've been to the Caribbean. I know this isn't Caribbean, but I hear they drive crazy like that. And I'm not a big fan of renting a vehicle outside of the U.S. or especially if they're on the other side of the road. They have this thing called a Twizy where you ride like back to back. It's a kind of like an enclosed thing because you're not allowed to rent an actual vehicle. It's like an electric car, but I don't know. I hear the bus system is really great. I like taking public transit when I go different places. I feel like you can go with the locals. It tends to be easier and you don't have to worry about liability, but still trying to figure it out. But I definitely will be going to the beach. That's a plan.
All right. Let's finish up with our comments. Al Almighty Om agreed. I live in a Native American community. And I love it. I mean, so McClune hoped that the internet might connect us. We need a discord and diversity in our discourse. Alan, it takes me over an hour most mornings to catch up with Voxer and Booktube. Yeah, correspondence from all over Europe. I feel you, Alan. There's a lot of people a lot of friends making content, and I just cannot watch it all. It's not humanly possible. And now balance. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of bugs in the bushes, says Christopher. All right, great memories. Great. Okay. Well, Courtney, we've been on for an hour and 40 minutes.
Woo.
So maybe about time to call it a night. Or do you have anything you want to add? You have anything you want to add?
I want to say thank you for allowing me to come on. It's been very, very fun. And then maybe one day you can come on my channel.
I will come on your channel. Tomorrow you're doing a sprint at 11.
I am not.
All right.
I am working for the July, so I'm actually missing a Tuesday. I had to miss with somebody, and then I'm going on a trip. So my next sprint will actually be not this Thursday, but next Thursday, the 13th, or on Thursday.
I'm going to try to drop in on a regular sprint, and maybe one day you can have me on.
Okay, that works.
Okay, for the final people who are still watching, thank you so much for tuning in. and have a great evening. And thanks again, Courtney, for coming on our show. And Alan, you need to fix your internet so you can stay on. All right? That's it. That's your goal for next week, not to get kicked off. All right, Courtney, have a great evening.
Bye-bye. Thank y'all very much. Bye-bye. Have a good day, y'all.